Hey guys, how are we doing? Back on another video from Nux Taku, and this is his 800k special that he did a while ago. I know. It just, when I'm trying to do videos every day, I tend to get lost in stuff, and then I was like, oh, the 900k, and I was like, you know what, he's going to hit 1 million soon, and I need to react to these, and you guys have been asking for them in the comment section, so I'm going to try and put both these out on the same day. Might not happen. Going to try. They're both long videos, but this is the top 10 fights in anime. Right, quickly before we get into this, I personally feel like Meruem versus Netero from Hunter x Hunter needs to be on here. I also feel like the Fate Zero fight with Emiya and dude with knife in hand, I'm terrible with names, should be on there. And also, controversial, Naruto and Sasuke versus Momoshiki. Just off the top of my head right now, I didn't have time to think about this. They're 3 fights that I think are just like really absolutely, like, when it comes down to me, boom, amazing. Sword of the Stranger, the last fight in that is so incredible and well choreographed. I think that's a potential that should be in there as well, but let's see what Nux has to say on this, shall we? Top 10 fights in anime.
Yo, what's happening, fanbase, and welcome back to another milestone special. Yes, today, thank you
He's so hitting 1 million before the end of the year.
Subscribers. And, well, even though I've almost, like, teared up in previous milestone specials and whatever, I don't really feel that here, because I've legit been freaking out for the last month. I know that for PR reasons, I should be like, oh, guys,
yeah, but you're just still growing.
But, like, I don't really feel that way right now because, well, I've had the past 2 weeks of freak outage. Not trying to flex here genuinely, but I got like 130,000 subs in the last month, and I've never seen another anime channel ever grow that fast in a month. And, well, I have legit been losing my mind. But Nux, how can you lose what's already lost? Don't ask questions to contradict Lord Nuxanor. So, you'll get the probably really genuine, teary thank you for 1 million, because that'll honestly be insane.
It's gonna happen.
And thank you enough for hitting 800k, meaning there's only 9,200,000 to go before I hit 10 million. Hell yeah, let's do this.
Do it.
Not in a while, probably. So I wanted to tell you an utmost thank you for helping me hit 800k, even though it will not be a crying thank you. We'll save that for later. Now, every time I hit a milestone, I decided, you know what, personal top 10 lists, because most of my videos are satire or parody or analysis of some form, and I don't really talk about my own personal opinions on, well, even the anime that I cover, comparing them to one another and the like. I get a lot of requests for personal opinions on even very general topics, and one of the most requested topics are, what are my 10 favorite anime fights? So, I know that it's not my usual completely weird-ass content, and it's something a little more generic, but I really appreciate you guys. So, my 800k special will be my top 10 fights in anime. Feel free to subscribe, help me get to 900k, that would be crazy. Let me know what you want for the 900k special, and I already promised when I hit like 500k that when I hit 1 million, I'll be doing my top 100 anime characters, and I'm already completely dreading that moment. Unfortunately, all you guys managed to remember that promise of mine, as I'm reminded very
That's going to be boss. So that's going to happen before the end of the year. That's going to be a December video, surely.
Number 10, Luffy versus Katakuri.
It had to be a One Piece video, didn't it? Well,
putting this fight in my top 10 was an absolute no-brainer. It is easily, without doubt, my favorite fight in One Piece, and the themes present in this fight alone outclass that of most grand finale of anime. While Whole Cake Island was not my favorite arc in the series, somehow Oda managed to casually whip up Katakuri as one of my favorite characters in the franchise of 1,000+ characters. And when I say one of my favorite, I don't mean top 50. I mean, like, we've had character development on characters for over 900 chapters, and Katakuri is my 3rd favorite character in all of One Piece.
Oh, wow.
His fight against Luffy was nothing but beauty. It's not even for the visual elements or tactical moments in the battle that I like, which are generally my favorite aspects to an anime battle in general. Present in this fight far outweighed that of almost any fight that wasn't, as I've mentioned, a massive climax. While Katakuri was an obstacle for Luffy to overcome in Whole Cake, and it's helped develop Luffy's character like, well, you know, most fights are supposed to do to protagonists, I feel like Luffy did a much better job evolving Katakuri's character than the other way around. Until this point, Katakuri always had to put up a facade of being the strongest. He was the guy that never sat on the floor. No one's seen him eat. He was epicness incarnate. And you realize he got to this mindset because he was made fun of for having a really weird ass mouth and many other things that made him decide, you know what, you can make fun of me for being weird, but not if I'm the absolute strongest, most badass creature ever.
Okay.
And he became that absolute baddest, most strongest creature ever, and with that he had to discard the bonds he had with his friends and family. He couldn't let anyone know the real him, because the real him was this absolute stoic mad lad that was far too badass for those around him. Every time he knocked Luffy down, Luffy managed to pull himself back to his feet because he was fighting for something he cared about. While the first time Luffy knocked down Katakuri, Katakuri had no reason to stand back up, and that was his defeat. At first glance, Katakuri is a super Luffy. He has an extremely similar devil fruit, extremely similar hockey powers, except everything Katakuri does is better than Luffy. He awakened his devil fruit. He has hockey that allows him to see the future. Calling this guy Luffy 2.0 is an understatement. Katakuri's far stronger. At first, this looked like the perfect opponent for Luffy to face. A stronger version of himself that'll have to overcome. But as the fight went on, you realize that no, this fight was about how Katakuri was essentially a Luffy 2.0, but still didn't have the one thing that Luffy actually did have that gave Luffy his victory.
Friendship?
He wasn't himself. This fight is absolutely beautiful. The animation is very fine as well, at least going by One Piece standard, and it definitely deserves the number 10 spot. I am going to be going a little faster, by the way, mostly because I don't want this video to be like 14 billion hours long. Number 9, Yamazaki. What? What the fuck? You done good. He versus everyone from Mob Psycho Season 2.
Oh my god, what a fight.
Yes,
okay,
huge fight. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that it's a pretty overlooked fight. I mean, it wasn't even the Season 2 climax. What's it doing here?
Not.
So, most of this fight is Yamazaki versus a ton of espers that joined up together to fight against
because they're like, he's really powerful.
You
need to fight him at the same time.
Yamazaki
it looks so good.
He's destroying everyone. Slowly but surely, they're coming up with ways that they can actually
just disappears. He's blind and can teleport.
Teleporting abilities, but even after they come up with this wonderful technique in actually defeating him, then it's like, yo, bro, Yamazaki wasn't full power. Time to turn on Ultra Yamazaki mode, and he proceeds to destroy all their faces. I really like this fight. Aside from the gorgeous animation, we actually get to see a fight between non-main characters in Mob Psycho 100.
Yeah, it gives them all a chance to like shine, doesn't it?
The philosophy of what makes a psychic. All these people that have these crazy psychic abilities are outcasts in one way or another, and everyone has a different way to cope with being an outcast. The majority of the ex-Claw members that joined Reagan in their rebellion against Claw are people that thought Claw would give them something
that in Season 2,
great,
was so good.
betrayed by this ideal. They are characters who thought nothing of themselves, thought that they can come together to become something, and then it turns out, no, everyone is an individual and special on their own. Teruhashi
got the wrong name
again.
Is the leader of this little group, and he has very cool hair for the majority of Mob Psycho. Teru is in a completely different reign than the ex-Claw guys. Teru is someone who, yes, was different than everyone else, but since he was actually really powerful, unlike most of these ex-Claw dudes, he developed a bit of a god complex. Unlike the other psychics who felt like they were nothing individually, so had to join together, he was someone who felt like he was everything individually.
I am better than everyone. Inevitable.
Yeah, well, I think you're ugly.
No. My God.
Everything was handed to him on a silver platter. This is until he got absolutely butt-kicked
by
Mob in Season 1. This is what very much humbled him and made him realize, no, he is not God's gift to the planet any more than anyone else. A complete opposite from
I loved his character change. It was
amazing. Him against Yamazaki. Yamazaki is very much similar to someone like Teru. He also has this unbelievable power, making him a perfect opponent to fight Teru. He has his own mini character arc, and the conclusion of this fight is absolutely greatness. It involves him getting scared shitless by Mob's insane power when he walks on the battlefield, and his altercation with Reagan is probably one of my favorite anime beatdowns of all time. But it's a spoiler, so I will not tell you what exactly happens. It's completely hilarious and very badass. Watch Mob Psycho 100. Number 8, Captain Levi versus the Beast Titan from Attack on Titan. Now, you're probably all saying, yo, Nux, I understand that fight was very awesome. I loved it in Season 3 Part 2. But, like, really? Number 8 of all time? And to that I say, yes and no. Levi versus the Beast Titan in AOT Season 3 Part 2 was definitely amazing, but would not be anywhere near this list. Sorry. But Captain Levi versus the Beast Titan in the manga, bro, that was next level. I am very tight about the manga.
Is it that different?
When it comes to One Piece, I don't mind saying manga spoilers so much. To be honest, honest, because you should be reading the manga, not watching the anime. It's the far superior experience. In Attack on Titan,
So I'm
it is
doing
without
alright
a
with that,
doubt
then.
that the animation and the pacing in the anime is phenomenal, while the art in the manga is very so-so at times. I don't want to spoil anything in Attack on Titan, past the fact that Bakugo dies, which was extremely sad, not to mention the fact that he was killed by a fodder Titan too. SMH. But the current arc in the Attack on Titan manga is goddamn fire!
Is it?
Levi versus the Beast Titan was phenomenal in every sense of the word. There will be no spoilers here, so therefore we will be moving on. Number 7, Escanor versus Estarossa. It's in the 7 Deadly Sins Season 2, and the manga adaptation was better than the anime. It's not to say that the anime did a bad job at all. It just did a relatively mediocre one. The fight is absolutely phenomenal. The flexes on Escanor's parts were top tier. I mean, if you think about it, the entire circumstances of the fight were a flex. Estarossa has this power that anyone that harbors hatred can't even fight him. That's broken, especially because he just allegedly killed Meliodas. All the Sins hate him, none of them can affect him, and Escanor is like, I harbor no hatred towards those below me. I merely pity them. Now, aside from the fact that this line is fire, and the roast was epic. I mean, legit, this line lit. It was heat, fam, and I can come up with many more hot temperature adjectives to refer to this line. But not only that, but he meant it so much. The commandant of love that would stop him from attacking Estarossa if he hated him did not affect him. The guy was immune to this power because he legit pitied him.
Yeah, it's like, I don't hate you, I pity you. You can't beat me.
The total reality for the guy was abnormal, and it was abnormal. Because, on the one hand, even though it was phenomenal superficially, and every single flex of Escanor's in this fight was great, you gotta feel bad for Escanor if he can't even hate the guy that killed his best friend. He merely pities everyone. I talked about this a lot in my Psychology of Escanor video, because no one understands Escanor, damn it! He is a tragic character at the same time as he's awesome, and the same goes for Estarossa. Both of these characters are outwardly badass, but mentally they are both in extreme turmoil. And while I love this fight, I did praise it in my actual analysis of the fight when I first saw it, I like it so much more now because of what happened afterwards. Estarossa's character evolves so much in the 7 Deadly Sins. He's easily in my top 5
I can't wait to see season 3 when it's finally put on
character
Netflix.
evolves so much from this point as well, where he can care about others weaker than him, and he's also in my 5 favorite characters of the series. In fact, I'd say that both Estarossa and Escanor are my 2nd and 3rd favorite characters in the 7 Deadly Sins. A very character-based, great show. People give the 7 Deadly Sins crap because of all the superficial aspects that are going on, but every character is so properly written from a psychological standpoint. I love altercations like these. I love how this fight is completely badass on screen, but at the same time, both characters are mentally screaming. Top-notch character writing in the 7 Deadly Sins, and I love this fight for everything it was.
Brilliant.
While
It
I
is
first
so good.
viewed it, back at it, how far both Estarossa and Escanor have come from that point is amazing. 7 Deadly Sins Season 3 is gonna be amazing!
I hope so.
Alright, moving on. Number 6. As grandiose as Escanor versus Estarossa was, Meruem versus Netero puts an entirely different meaning
This
into
is
the
a
word
fight and a
grandiose.
half.
When I think
My
of grandiose anime fights, this is definitely the first to pop into
This
mind.
was
It's the
amazing.
Hunter of Legend versus this ultimate
This
Chimera
fight
Ant.
is
And while
incredible.
Hunter x Hunter has a lot of great fights that I wanted to include, like Hisoka versus Crollo from the manga,
The manga's
and Gon
decent,
versus
I've read it.
Mito from the anime, at the end of the day, neither of them hold up to Meruem versus Netero in my book. Hisoka's my favorite character in the series, so if anything, I'm biased towards him. I'm so biased, in fact, that I would vote for Hisoka to become the president of the United States for the 2020 election. Both the Republicans and the Democrats stand no chance against this absolute mad lad who looks out for others before himself.
Explain his technique.
Mad respect, Hisoka. Hashtag Hisoka 2020.
Okay.
I am the chosen one.
But more on that another time. Aside from Meruem versus Netero ending with a massive spoiler for both of them.
God.
Not spoil, because that would be a spoiler, and I don't do spoilers.
Well,
Not
you
since that
do.
Bakugo dies fiasco.
Here we go.
Didn't know Bakugo dies.
Keep
Damn, it
going,
was so
my
sad that
brother.
he was killed
So
by
sad
a
they
fodder
killed him.
Titan
I can't wait to see
SMH. But
it.
the ideals behind this fight are also fascinating. You had Meruem, the antagonist of the human race, the ultimate Chimera Ant King, someone who everyone is terrified of because he literally just walked into North Korea and killed everyone.
Sliced everyone's head off with his tail.
There's Kim Jong-un, and he killed Kim Jong-un. What a
that's
man.
literally what
Definitely forces at work here that are some would call evil, but let's not talk about that. Meruem is a threat to the entire human race, and his evil seems to know no bounds. And here you have Meruem coming to fight him because, well, Meruem is the ultimate good guy. He's the strongest strongest hunter we've ever met. The guy's
You
really
mean
strong, and he's
Netero.
humanity's best shot at actually beating Meruem. Everyone else that fought him was totally annihilated in a split second. Everyone that fought the royal guards were annihilated in a split
That's
second,
true.
and Meruem can annihilate a royal guard in a split second.
Yep.
According to power scaling, that means he's really effing strong. Yes, that is the correct
Power scaling
term. So
done
when
correct.
these two titans actually clash, we are waiting for something major. And what we get is major, but it's not at all what we were expecting. It was Meruem, the tyrant, who said to Netero, I do not want to fight, I just want to talk to you. You seem like a really special guy, and I don't want you dead. You're far more useful to the world alive. You know, I'm serious. Because I said the world! No, I didn't say the world. That's what I meant! And Netero, you know, the really kind-hearted, good old man that was working for the humans to take care of this world-threatening problem, that wanted to commit xenocide on the human race.
Yes.
Netero says, I cannot talk to you. I am here only to kill you. It is a complete flip on the roles of these two characters.
Yeah.
And honestly, welcome to the Chimera and arc of Hunter x Hunter,
It's
where
so
good and
good.
bad are flipped
They
so
do.
much back
That's
and
the
forth,
whole
where
point
it
of it.
becomes nearly
The contrast
impossible to define
and
what
how
is a
things
human
can
and what
change
is
from
a
one thing to the
monster
other.
in
That's the
any
whole
given scenario.
story.
The
I
Chimera and
love
arc
it.
is a brilliant glance at the psyche of what makes
When you see
a human
Meruem's
being,
character
and I love it
change,
to its entirety. And a massive clash
and
of the titans, like Meruem versus Netero, get a
Gon's
real glance at the hypocrisy of everything in
character
life, where everything
change.
you will ever look at is just a different shade of gray. And that's aside from the finale of the fight, which was amazing, and also a massive spoiler. Watch Hunter x Hunter. Thanks for listening. Number 5, Garou from One Punch Man
yo.
versus everyone. I understand
This
you
was a
may
good
say
fight.
that,
Okay,
hey,
fine.
Narcs, this is your top 10 fights, not your top 10 series with characters that have a ton of fights, and all those fights are collectively awesome. And while I understand that that is probably what's going through
This
all of your
was
minds,
cool.
Garou had one progressive fight that evolves further and further with barely giving him a moment to rest. He fights Metal Bat, then Watchdog Man, gets slapped by Saitama, literally, hides in a cabin, gets attacked by a bunch of A and B
He is
rank
constantly
heroes,
on the go,
fights
isn't
them
he, I
off,
guess?
gets carried away to the Monster Association. That's where Season 2 ended. The manga continues. He fights with Monster Association guys. He eventually sort of becomes a Monster Associate. He betrays them, fights more people. It's one progressive
Yeah, there's
fight
all
for
this stuff
Garou
going
without a
on. That's
moment's
cool.
rest.
We were literally
And that
in a
fight
bookstore
where
before.
weary Garou
Me and
has
my
to get
girlfriend,
to the
like,
next
we
level
found
every
the
single
manga,
time
which
is
carries
my
on, and we were like,
favorite
oh, let's
fight in
put it
anime.
away, put it
Now,
away.
to be clear, Garou's pretty much my favorite villain in anime,
He is
and a lot of his
incredible.
development comes through all these fights that
Yeah,
are
his
legit
fights
back
really
to
do
back to
build him
back.
up.
Through
You
all
learn
of what's
stuff through
going
his
on,
fights.
even though he's a
backstory,
villain, or some people
flashbacks
call him
we get from
anti-hero,
that
but those
stuff
people
like-
are mistaken because they don't know the English language well enough to understand that he's not an anti-hero. That was a very long sentence. Is you start relating to this villain. In some ways, he's more heroic than all the heroes,
Yeah.
despite the fact that he's a villain. He's a guy that wants to become a monster, but also doesn't want to become a monster. And this inner fight with himself, as well as him fully accepting who he is, makes him stand out. Every hero
He's
in One
so
Punch Man has some crazy
interesting.
mental dilemma. Saitama's so strong he's depressed. King is faking everything, so he's depressed. Tatsumaki is a hero, but crazy arrogant. The A and B class heroes that came to beat Garou, well, they didn't call an S class
No,
hero
they did
to
not,
help
'cause
them
they want to do it
they
themselves,
wanted
yeah.
to be the ones to beat
Uh-huh.
Garou. They didn't want Garou to be beaten as
It's
much
so
as they wanted
wrong
the credit
sometimes,
for
some
doing.
of the
Every
stuff that
hero
happens
in
with
One
this.
Punch Man has mental deficits. They have their own mental challenges that they're
They
up
have
against,
reasons
in that
for
they
doing
can't
things.
fully actualize who they are. Everyone is living a double life to at least an extent, except for Garou. Garou is the only person that accepts who he is, so even though he's the villain, you root for him so
Yeah,
hard.
you're like,
he
go ahead,
becomes
lad,
your
you know
hero.
what you
He has
wanna do.
ideals that you could look up to so goddamn much, even though he's this psycho. Yes, I relate to this psycho. Not saying he'd make as good of a president
Nice
as
Joker
Hisoka,
outfit there,
hashtag
boy.
Hisoka 2020, but he's a psycho I relate to very closely. This isn't a character analysis video, and, well, I don't want to spoil things for those who haven't read the manga, but Garou is in one long fight. They do seem like
Yeah.
sporadic short ones that are just coming
I'm waiting
one
for
after
season
the
3.
other, but in
I ain't gonna read the
actuality, I
manga.
feel like
I'm
it's
waiting for
one
season
much
3.
longer one. It's a fight with his ever-evolving self being pushed into a corner after a corner, encountering a plethora of opponents, even though the opponents' allegiances don't align either. Point is, it's my fifth favorite fight in anime. Number 4, Griffith versus the King of Kushan in Berserk's manga. So now, Berserk's manga is my
Thought
second
this
favorite
was
manga of all
about
time. I
anime.
absolutely love it in its entirety, and while there are a ton of Guts fights I want to talk about, like the first time Guts used his Berserk armor, that fight still blows me away, and even though I like Guts more than Griffith as a character, Griffith versus the King of Kushan blew my absolute mind apart. Even though Griffith is this disgusting human being, and we know that because we watched him do some pretty nasty shiz in this very fight The entire world regards him as the world's messiah. But in actuality, it seems very much like he's bringing about something more of an apocalypse, but in his own tiny bubble, he's legit looked at as the savior of humanity. But what's more, even to us, who know he's like sort of a bad dude for the things he's done. In this ridiculous occasion, he somehow manages to get demons and humans to work side by side to face a greater threat. He manages to bring about what fate itself considered impossible. Humans and demons were always fated to hate one another, fated to fight one another. And Griffith manages to get them working side by side against Kushan, and uses the king of Kushan at the end of the fight to bring about hell. Yes, hell enraptures the human world, and he devises the country of Falconia, an ultimate safe haven for both humans and demons that want to live in harmony. The rest of the world is suffering, but Griffith is the good dude, the one good dude that actually has peace within his borders. Griffith is such a phenomenal character, and this mini arc where the massive climax is him versus the king of Kushan definitely encapsulates exactly what's so mesmerizing about him. He has this ridiculously powerful charisma, and all the stars really seem to align for him to be the beacon of hope for humanity, but looked at through our lens of already despising Griffith for what he's done, we can see how he's twisting everything to fit his whims. What's really terrifying about Griffith is that we, the audience, since we've seen what he's done, every action he's taking right now looks like pure evil. But without having any preconceived notions of who Griffith was, he seems like the ultimate force of good. That is encapsulated in his battle against the king of Kushan, and where he uses the king's massive corpse as the literal foundation for Falconia. Mad props, Miura. Please come back and finish Berserk. Number 3! Lee versus Gaara. Early
Okay,
Naruto.
yes.
We're going
What
back
a
to
fight.
the basics.
I agree with
I love
this.
making
This is
personal
like
videos.
top
To talk
tier.
about
This.
shit I actually like,
Top
you know?
tier
If I had
fight.
to pick the major
Gaara
theme
and
for
Lee.
early
Top
Naruto,
tier.
it is hard work versus natural talent. I love this theme. It is overdone to death in certain genres, but the idea that you, someone who was born with nothing, no offense to you of course, can actually work hard and become something. It's the American dream, some may even say. It's an ideal that we absolutely wish was true, where everyone has an equal shot to get somewhere. Lee is that person. Lee is someone who was born with zero talent, but, you know, worked his absolute butt off to become a complete madman.
He really did.
Whereas
He was
Gaara
the-
was born with this
He
ridiculous
was what
power where
Naruto
he
should
could
have
not
been.
even show respect
Anyway.
for the people around him because of how ridiculously broken he was without needing to work on it whatsoever. Now, what I immediately find fascinating for this fight is Lee and Gaara never had a bone to pick with one another before this point. Lee
Nope.
always got into this point of contention with Neji. Neji's a genius, granted, not to the extreme of Gaara, but he also did put work into it, not to the extreme laxness of Gaara. Gaara, on the other hand, never had anything against Lee. He always thought he was superior and never had anyone to attest to that. His own father hired assassins to kill him. He had no respect for anyone, let
No.
alone someone who was born with nothing. Lee versus Gaara is a fight of two extremes. It's the extreme natural talent with no hard work versus the extreme hard work with no natural talent. And of course, it brings out the absolute max of each of them. By the end of the fight, unfortunately, reality sets in and Gaara wins. Gaara beating Lee, while at the time was tragic and heartbreaking for me because Lee legit became the protagonist of Naruto for that point in time. And he was the ideal that all of us want so
Well,
hard to
yeah,
be true.
it's like, look,
Unfortunately,
we
reality
want
sometimes sucks.
hard work
Losing
to
the
be
fight
what it is, but it just
so hard
isn't.
at a young age, and it still hurts
Isn't
to think
how
about
it
to this very
is.
day. Because here's the lesson behind Gaara versus Lee. Hard work alone cannot beat natural talent. We do not live in a fairy tale.
Nope.
But at the same time, hard work can still kick butt. Lee was born
It
with the
can
extreme of
really
no
be
natural
effective
talent,
at
no
times.
status at birth, the world discriminating against him for whatever reason. And Gaara was born as a complete opposite. Everything was handed to him on a silver platter. So, while Gaara, who is already a psychologically messed up dude born with the status he was completely shook by Lee. Lee shattered all of his expectations and more. And Lee, at that moment in time, was the second strongest Genin ninja in that room. There were people like Neji and Sasuke, who were both geniuses in their own right, and who both put work into what they were doing. A lot of work, in fact. And Lee did surpass both of them. Gaara was an extreme that actually
Yeah,
did
he
crush.
was, yeah.
So it's not that hard work without natural talent can't get you places. It definitely can, but unfortunately, sometimes
It just
reality
doesn't.
really hurts. And I feel like the real moral of this fight is you have to toggle between the two. You have to accept reality as it is and realize life ain't fair sometimes. So you also have to realize that you can get insanely far with hard work alone, even when everything else is up against you. You gotta be idealistic about what you could accomplish, but also realistic towards how the world operates. Lee versus Garou was the ultimate underdog fight. And it
Yeah.
hit hard, and Lee did not win. Every moment Lee freaked out Gaara during this fight filled me with such elation. Lee dropping his training weight,
That's
making
amazing.
in the floor. Lee moving faster than Gaara's eyes can even keep
He's
up.
like, wait, what's going on?
Smashing Gaara into the ground, and the entire collective audience completely freaking out that Lee was as badass as he was. Neji seeing that Lee, the guy with no natural talent, actually surpassed Kankuro, who had such faith in Gaara, nearly have a heart attack at what he was witnessing. Guy, filled with pride of his prodigy. Not the prodigy that came to him with talent, but the prodigy that came to him with will. And Baki, losing his mind that the unstoppable weapon at his disposal was being destroyed by someone who had nothing. Lee vs. Gaara is an absolute classic.
It's incredible.
It is 3 episodes of complete awesomeness, and I rewatch it more frequently than I would admit. Number 2, Gintoki vs. Takasugi.
Okay, we've got a
from
Gintama.
Not enough people have seen Gintama in order to appreciate this fight. Even if you see it as like a highlight clip, it will mean very little to you. It's a relatively short fight. The exchange of blows is only approximately 3 to 4 minutes in length, and they get really bloodied up really quickly. It's not a long, drawn-out, even match where finally one manages to defeat the other. It's a fight where self-preservation is borderline non-existent, as the only goal is decimating the enemy in any way possible. Gintama is a fascinating story. Gintama is a tale about several people had some event that happened in the past that got 4 close friends to separate, each walking their own path, yet despite this, they each are constantly reminded by their past and are forced to move past that. No bigger rift among them than Gintoki and Takasugi, who at this point hated each other with their entire being. Both points of views are completely understandable based on what occurred in the past, that I will not spoil, and they've crossed paths many, many times over the 300 episodes until this fight. This was where they finally duked it out to the end, and the next time they were on the battlefield together, strangely enough, it was as allies. Just like when 2 kids get into a fight and then they can beat each other up finally and eventually become friends like nothing happened. Obviously, that's not what took place here, but it was venting over their pasts. The current arc was protecting the Shogun from an assassination. Gintoki and his group was trying to protect him, while Takasugi and his were trying to eliminate him. That said and done, this fight that's going on right here, right now, had absolutely nothing to do with the Shogun. It was purely personal, getting all their emotions out at one time, where their paths can finally rejoin. I cannot express the amounts of emotion I felt watching this fight, where both Gintoki and Takasugi were emitting as much emotion as they possibly can. This episode, episode 305 of Gintama, is one of my favorite episodes in all of anime. It fully encapsulates the passion that Gintama actually holds right past the facade of ridiculously stupid at times sarcastic
I've just seen nothing but comedy and memes from this show.
That makes Gintama my favorite anime.
Yeah, it's been going for a while and there must be a reason, so I do feel like I need to check this out at some point.
It almost feels personal how much I love this show. I talk about it very infrequently compared to other series that I try to convince people to watch, because Gintama is the only thing that I don't want to sully with memes, even though it's got plenty memes.
It's full
there
of
are
it,
a lot of
apparently,
passionate anime fights, where both sides emit ridiculous amounts of energy, both mentally and physically, in an exchange. But even though this fight only lasts for 3 minutes, none compare. For those 3 minutes, words aren't even exchanged. And just like they can read the words of the battlefield and understand each other perfectly without saying anything, we don't get inner monologues, but we, the viewers, also understand very well as well.
Gain the emotion from how they're fighting.
I love this fight to its entirety, and that's why it's my second favorite.
What's number 1 then?
Quick honorable mention!
Oh, okay.
We got Kiritsugu versus
I told you
Kirei,
this had to
opposing
be somewhere
ideologies
in there.
finally colliding in a massive climax at the end of Fate Zero. Alucard versus Anderson,
okay, that's
different
cool as well,
interpretations of insanity, blasting each other with their entire being. Ichigo versus Ulquiorra from Bleach,
amazing
by
fight.
far my favorite
God,
fight in Bleach.
what a
Ulquiorra
fight.
gaining a heart while Ichigo loses his. Ling versus Wrath from because while there are a lot of really great fights in Wrath taking on a tank and then proceeding to fight Ling, who finally allies
afterwards,
up
it's just like,
mentally,
wow.
as well as the sacrifice of old Chinese dude. Legit amazing fight. I love that fight. My favorite and definitely deserving of an honorable
What's
mention.
number 1
And maybe
then?
it's because it's fresh in my mind, but Tanjiro versus Spider Dude in episode 19 of Kimetsu no Yaiba was straight fire and made the entire universe tear up a little bit. So now let's talk about number 1. And if you know me long enough, you'll know that it's Jotaro versus Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3. Alright, so here's the scoop. On a superficial level, nothing
This
comes close
fight
to
is
Jotaro versus
so
Dio.
good.
It's got
So
the epic
good.
poses, it's got the epic fighting, the
Yeah, it
epic
does.
emotion,
It's
the
got the
great strategies within the fight, the emotional
the
lead-up with Dio killing some people. The entire third part was getting to this climax against Dio. Dio mattered in part 1 and 2 also. There was a legacy behind this battle.
The masks.
Jotaro picked up the torch as the next generation of Joestar. Voice acting was on point. Music was on point.
It's incredible.
Zawaldo's sound effects was on point, as was its pronunciation. But if you'll notice, I don't usually put well-choreographed anime fights as my favorites. Normally, my favorite is for some other reason. Luffy versus Gaara is from a philosophical standpoint. Escanor versus Estarossa is from a psychological standpoint. Gintoki versus Takasugi is from an emotional standpoint. Luffy versus Katakuri is from a thematic standpoint. There's always a reason why I like the fight, aside from it looked really damn cool. And aside from this one looking damn cool, I like this fight personally because the vibe of JoJo's is extremely awesome. I know, it sounds like a lame excuse, but it ain't. Ever since getting into JoJo's fandom and seeing memes literally everywhere, it has become a part of my life like none other. Every little aspect of this fight was me. The way he says Zawado, the way he says Ruda, throws a road roller, and Jotaro, because that's the most useful way to kill him. The way Dio walks towards Jotaro is everywhere. There are SpongeBob walks, Shaggy walks, Lord Tweedle walks, Jigen from Boruto walks like Dio, and that's not even bad made. Oh, you're approaching me? Well, I can't beat the crap out of you without getting closer. The memes are everywhere. When PewDiePie was fighting T-Series, you had the lines of their sub-growth talk to each other with the Dio versus Jotaro voices, and it's the funniest thing ever. Every aspect of this fight has become so integrated into internet culture and into my life. I see it everywhere. So much emotion and sacrifice led up to this fight. So many brilliant, nuanced strategies had to be employed during this fight. Jotaro was completely outmatched.
Yes, he was, but he
both Jotaro and Dio's characters are so perfect in the way they bounce off each other as well. Unlike Jonathan, who Dio annoyed in the past, and every insult of Dio's hit Jonathan to his core, Jotaro reflects and dishes back roasts faster than Dio can spit him. The superficial dynamics of the fight are so wonderful as well. The magnet trick, tricking him into believing that it's just a magnet.
Like in between while he's learning stuff, he's tricking him stuff.
Every element in the fight is the most badass, personified moment ever. Not to mention it's memed everywhere. Unlike most anime, which are a piece of art that I can enjoy but not interact with, by the fact that memes are generated by the fans and they're generated on the internet,
JoJo's is just
I feel like
incredible.
I've somehow interacted with this great masterpiece of a fight. I feel personally invested in not the backs and forths of the fight, but in literally every frame of Jotaro versus Dio. You could put Jotaro versus Dio voices over a thumb war and I will love it. You may not be able to relate to this reasoning, but you will find that the more you involve yourself into the memedom of JoJo's, the more you will like JoJo. The more you could meme about JoJo's, the more you feel like you are a part of JoJo's to some degree. JoJo's brilliance altogether is more than just what you're seeing on screen, which is fun, but the interactivity among the JoJo memers make the scenes all the more amazing. That's my personal take. So once again, thank you so much for 800k subs. That is a ridiculous number, and it's definitely somewhere I never expected to get to. On to new horizons, fanbase! Together we will spread our wings and bust forth!
You're definitely hitting a million, because we've still got the 900k ones to check out, so it's just quite funny.
Have yourself the most wonderful evening, and remember, stay weird, fam.
So there you go, guys. That was the 800k special, which you've all been asking me to react to for a while now. I'm going to react to the 900k one, and it'd be interesting to see how long it is before we do the 1 million, because it cannot be far off now. He's done so well this year. Deserves it as well. The videos are so goddamn good, they're so funny, and he's constantly dishing out content. It's amazing. So anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what you should watch discuss in future videos. I'll see you guys. That's all, guys. Next time.